Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the... Thank you for escaping with us. That's Andrew. I'm Alex.
And as always, with great power comes great title card ability.
That's correct.
For those of you not in the know, that's Invincible related.
That is an Invincible bit we just did.
Just one of the best shows of all time that you're not watching for some reason.
Yes. So season 3 just completed on Amazon Prime Video.
As did Alex while watching it.
You're not wrong.
So, all right, in this episode, we're reviewing a lot of things. Severance has ended. Season 2 of Severance has ended. Invincible Season 3 has ended. Daredevil Episode 3 has come out. So we're going to talk about all three of those things, and we'll also answer some of your questions if we have the time.
Yes, but if we don't have the time, don't worry about it, because we did do a full fan segment on the Patreon, on our latest Patreon episode.
We also did an extra bracket where we talked about female characters, fictional characters, who has the most riz.
And
it was a lot of fun.
For those of y'all that have always been interested, that's on the free Patreon.
Yeah.
So you can click the link, become a member. It is for free for that, and then you'll be able to watch that video by just becoming a member of the free Patreon.
Yeah, so
that's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to charge you anything.
The fan segment and the speaking of Invincible full reaction, Daredevil full reaction is also up there, but those are for paid members. So anyways, go check that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're sorry. This is Alex and Andrew from the future, and we were wrong, as we often are.
Severance. Not a thing today.
We thought the season finale was
this week.
It
is in fact
next week. So we're going to be doing a full in-depth review of both season 2 and season 1 of Severance.
Not this week, but
next week, because that's when it completes. For whatever reason, season 1 was 9 episodes. Inexplicably, season 2 is 10 episodes.
Unexplainable.
Maybe season 3 will be 11 episodes.
What do we want to do first?
Let's just...
You want to do Invincible? Yeah, you want to get that off your chest.
We're doing this right now.
Okay.
So let's go. Our scores for Invincible Season 3 out of 10.
Sure.
3, 2, 1.
9.5.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Yes, it has an episode that doesn't match the rest of the quality of the show. But there are so many, 20 out of 10, 30 out of 10 moments that, the one episode that's a 7 out of 10 with the dragon one.
Oh, okay. Sure.
That one episode... it's not enough of a stain for me to not give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Where are you at? You're a 9.5 because you just gatekeep your 10s. It'll probably be a 10 in a year.
Yeah, maybe. Uh-huh. I think there were a few episodes in there that weren't 9s or 10s out of 10s. They were good. They were just there.
Yeah.
But like you said, the beginning and the end, I think, capped it off with some amazingness.
Yeah.
And then there was a few episodes in there that were not, at any stretch of the imagination, bad. They just weren't insane. But yeah, all the characters, all the stories, all the animation. No, I'm just kidding. But the last episode of Invincible Season 3, people liked the animation, right?
The animation, it did seem that they saved the animation budget for the whole season for the last 2 episodes.
I do want to go back, because are you rewatching Season 1? Someone was rewatching Season 1, and they were like, this animation is different.
It is better. The season 1 animation is better. I just did show Rachel the first 2 seasons a couple months back, and I do remember seeing the quality dip from season 1 to season 2. And then, like we said on this podcast, there are moments in season 3 that are iffy. But yeah, there are some shots. There's a shot in episode 8 where he's fighting Conquest, and his hair is flowing, and it's wow, this is better animation than anything else in the rest of the season. Just his hair, so...
Do we want to talk specifics about the last episode, or do we want to talk about highs of the whole show? What's the deal?
Yeah. I kind of want to talk about episode 8 right now, just because that just happened, and then I've got a whole thing going on right now. First of all, a lot of people hated on Jeffrey Dean Morgan portraying Conquest.
Hey, frick you?
I thought he was fabulous.
Yeah, frick you, maybe?
I understand the criticisms a little bit, even though I disagreed with them, because I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan as an actor, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but he has a monologue in that episode that I'm not sure anybody else in the world could have delivered as well as he did. And recently found out that's not in the comic. That was a new addition for the show.
The whisper thing?
The whisper thing was a new addition for the show. And knowing that...
That was one of the best layers of his character in the whole episode.
Question about it. I thought his monologue was spectacular, and clearly...
I was roasting him during my reaction, though. I was like, are we supposed to care about this? You freaking...
No, it just makes him more of a lunatic.
Yeah, he's psycho.
That's the point, but I don't know too many actors that could have pulled that off with the same vigor that Jeffrey Dean Morgan
So,
had.
are you saying that this is potentially a scenario in which people got too much on the internet with their expectations, and then when it didn't happen, even though it was a good thing, they were maybe too harsh with their reaction / criticism of it based on preconceived notions?
I'm feeling a hint of subtext in that.
No.
Maybe like that's geared towards somebody I may know very well personally.
No. I'm just asking about this one scenario specifically and nothing else at all. But come on, that is an example of people like getting like expecting.
That recently happened in Star Wars with a comic with Watto. People freaked out that Darth Vader killed Watto. Turned out Darth Vader didn't kill Watto, and all of them were just wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that happens all the time. Yes. You have done this before too. Get out of here.
Guilty.
Something I do want to say about episode 8, I thought it was spectacular. I'm seeing a lot of people say it's one of the best TV show episodes ever. It's one of the best superhero TV show episodes ever. I do want to say I think episode 7, the Invincible War episode, is better.
What happens all in that episode? I think it's close. I think you can make that argument. I think you can make that argument. Why specifically?
I loved the whole conquest fight and everything.
Oh, and Rex and...
But yeah, like with the Invincible War, I just felt like there were just more layers to everything when most of the Conquest episode, while being an incredible fight and the best fight the show has had so far,
it's kind of one layer.
It's just one fight.
It's one thing.
And yes,
and
I'm
it's
stressed
awesome.
out of my mind for Oliver, and I'm stressed out of my mind for Adam Eve. But with the Invincible War episode, I'm stressed out of my mind for Oliver and Eve and Rex and Rudy and everybody in that episode and Cecil, frankly. Like, that episode was stressful in other ways. And I you know, when that Invincible, I'm not defending their actions, but when that one Invincible with the mask is like, I'm just going to universe with my mom. I just really miss my mom. Like, I cared more about that Invincible in that scene than I cared at all about Conquest.
I will say this. Yeah, I know. The both episodes are very stressful.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely.
But
agree.
I will say I was more unable to breathe more consistently in episode 8.
Fair.
Like, I was on the edge of my seat in episode 7, but in episode 8, there was literally not a moment where I was like, I have no idea what's about to happen. I'm stressed. I'm terrified. So I think that's why I give that one a little bit of an edge, because I think it hit me a little bit harder in certain ways. But I do agree with you that the whole episode is just kind of one thing. And that one thing is epic, and it deserves the whole
amazing.
episode.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
So that brings up a point. The point that you just said brings up a point that we've been dying to talk about on this podcast that we never have before, which is Invincible is a comic that came out in 2005 that is now a very popular TV show and thus
Spoilers.
Everywhere.
Literally,
so,
like, the worst people ever.
I want to give you the bad news that I knew everything that was going to happen in that episode.
I knew one thing.
I know you did.
And
we'll get to that.
I literally, on my drive home to come film this podcast, I got another thing spoiled for me.
Brutal.
That's next season, I assume.
Brutal. But so unfortunately...
And it's tough because we make Invincible content, and I posted 7 reaction TikToks and the YouTube video where I react to it, and it's like... I've been pretty good about not opening those comments, but it doesn't matter. Like, these people just do not care. They think they're cool. They're not.
Yeah.
You're not cool. Like, you're just...
It's annoying.
You're a loser.
And I what do you think about... I saw actually a TikTok today. I was criticizing Soups because he didn't read the comics. And, like, I want to say, as somebody that has read quite a few books, and I, for whatever reason, get a decent amount of hate as if I'm a fake comic reader. I could comic trivia circles around a lot of y'all. I've read a lot of comic books. But for me, that's been what's made Invincible so enjoyable for me, is it is legitimately the first superhero property I've gone into where I know nothing. Like, where I'm shocked by every twist. I'm shocked by every twist and turn, et cetera, et cetera. Like, why can't I enjoy that? Why can't those of us that haven't read the books enjoy that when we have read countless of iconic stories that they have pulled from for the Avengers movies or et cetera, et cetera? You know what I'm saying?
Obviously you can. And anyone with the slightest bit of common sense knows that you can. It's just the internet that brings up the people that think they're cool because they've read something that you haven't. I mean, we have a friend who has read the entire thing twice. We've talked about it before, and he does a great job of like kind of being like, oh, the next 2 episodes I'm like really excited about, but like
that's all he gives us.
Waltzing in being like, oh, Eve does this, Mark does this, because that would make him lame, and he's not lame.
You're right. You're right.
I block those people.
Yeah, good for you. I don't blame you.
I don't need those people. I don't need you. I don't need you. Go away. Season 1, Season 2, Season 3, rank them. Do you want to say our number ones at the same time?
Sure.
Okay.
What is the best season of Invincible? 3, 2, 1, 1.
3.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And I'm happy for you for making that distinction. But we have said on this podcast that Season 1 of Invincible is the greatest season of superhero television of all time. So you're saying it's been dethroned by Season 3 of Invincible?
Maybe.
Well, you just said that.
I mean, because you're putting me into a corner where I have to choose, and
they are very close.
They're very close.
It's 1A, 1B, and then Season 2 is in the gutter.
Yeah, no, I'm giving it to Season 3. I'm giving it to Season 3.
Because you think the highs are just that high.
Sure, but also, so like the main thing in Season 1 is the relationship and the twist with Omni-Man and Mark. That's it, right?
Yep.
And the fight at the end with them. And that is probably hard to beat in terms of one particular character development, storyline, relationship that culminates in a fight, right?
Correct.
But Season 3 has multiple things that maybe don't reach that level, but are good enough when combined, I think, top it. Mainly being Mark and Eve's relationship. That carries hard in this season, and it's really fun to watch, and Eve is so great that I don't think that's as interesting necessarily as the Omni-Man Mark thing in Season 1, but that combined with the Conquest fight and the Alan Nolan stuff in outer space and some of that other stuff, and Debbie just being Debbie and Oliver, I think all that combined can maybe top the stuff in Season 1.
I'm going to help your point real quick.
Great. That's rare.
I'm going to help you out. I know. Season 1 has a couple of these, but there aren't too many moral questions in Season 1. Season 2 is a lot of moral questions. What's right and wrong? Is a person still bad if they do bad things, etc., etc.? Season 3, I think, takes the best of Season 2 and has some of the best moral questions we've ever seen in superhero shows ever. In Season 3, they execute the moral questions to perfection, and that's something that is completely absent from Season 1. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Is Cecil right?
Yeah.
Should Mark kill Angstrom? Like, etc., etc. Like, the justification here.
That was another thing, like in Season 3, having more Cecil questions and Cecil being in it. He's in Season 1 a lot, obviously trying to figure out.
Yes.
And then when he fights Nolan at the end, it's freaking awesome because Cecil is let go. But the episode with him and Mark fighting was a jaw dropper, and then obviously the Invincible War is a jaw dropper, and then just you're on your edge of your seat during the Cecil fight and the Invincible War, and obviously the entire episode with Conquest. So no, I'm not mad at anyone for choosing either of those two seasons. All 3 seasons have been great.
So before I elaborate on why I think Season 1 is better, my final question to you is we've said on this podcast before, at least I have, that Season 1 of Invincible is the greatest season of superhero television ever. Are these the top two best seasons of superhero television ever for you?
You could make that argument. I
want a concrete answer from you.
I can't give you a concrete answer. I don't want to do that.
Is Season 3 of Invincible better than The Penguin?
Yeah, probably.
Is Season 3 of Invincible better than X-Men 97 Season 1? I think it is, for what it's worth.
You think Invincible Season 3 is?
Yes.
Wow, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Invincible Season 3 better than Daredevil Season 3? That's the hardest one for me. That's the hardest one. I may give it to Daredevil.
I think I'm going to give it to Invincible because I think the first half of Season 3 is slower and not as good as anything in Season 3 of Invincible.
Sure, but then the peaks of Daredevil is the best show you've ever seen in your life.
Once Daredevil starts cooking in the second half, it's unbelievable.
It does take 3 episodes to get there.
Yeah, but I'll give it to Invincible.
All right. All right.
But I love all of those.
Of course. We're saying some of our favorite projects literally in history.
Yeah.
And then, again, another final question. That last final question was the penultimate final question. This is the real final question.
Penultimate final is a little bit of a oxymoron.
Through
Is that the word?
3 episodes. A couple of weeks ago, we got a 3-episode premiere of Invincible Season 3. Through 3 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. Which do you prefer?
Daredevil Born Again.
Whoa!
Probably.
So if
Daredevil... What happens in the first 3 episodes of Invincible?
It's the Cecil stuff with the reanimate man, and then he threatens him, and then...
That one episode is better than any of the 3 episodes in Daredevil so far, but as a whole, I might give it to Daredevil. Does that make sense?
Yes. If Daredevil keeps at this quality, are you saying it could be the greatest season of superhero television ever? For you. Obviously, I don't feel that way.
Yeah, no, I mean it's got a long journey ahead of it for that to be a thing.
It has to really be spectacular all the way through. We've got 6 more episodes, but do you think it has a chance?
I think it has.
Because for me, it has no chance.
Oh, it definitely has a chance. It has a chance to be in the conversation. Yeah, because there are some episodes in season 3 of Invincible that, again, I don't dislike, but weren't blowing my socks off. And if every episode of Daredevil Born Again blows my socks off, then sure, then maybe. But, I would never assume that a project is going to do that. Even if I love the first 3 episodes, I'm not going to assume that it's going to be better than season 3 of Invincible. That's an unbelievably high bar.
All right. For me, I think it is season 1. My thing, and I felt this especially in season 2, and I do think it carries over with season 3. Season 1 is the tightest season of superhero television I've ever seen. Yes, you've got D.A. Sinclair and the Reanimate Men. Yes, you've got Titan, played by Mahershala Ali in his episode and this and that. But all of the episodes still have the overarching plot of why did Nolan kill the Guardians? What's going on with him?
It's really good.
That is so strong that it ties all of these episodes together because there's certainly no overarching plot of season 2. Right, you get Angstrom in the first episode, but then you don't get him until the second to last episode again.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of individual stories in the middle. And then with the Nolan stuff that I love and obviously I love the Debbie stuff throughout the whole season. And then season 3, what's the overarching plot? That he doesn't trust Cecil, but that's barely explored plus past 5 episodes. There are 3 episodes that's completely absent.
The tightness and the one storyline. I mentioned that. It's season 3 has a bunch of little stuff that could maybe add together to beat season 1. But I agree.
Conquest, that fight feels like the end of an arc that's set up in season 2. In the same way that the Invincible War is definitely an arc that's set up by the end of season 2. You know what I'm saying? It's
Angstrom's coming back, and he was in season 2, and season 1 is much more of its own thing that's tight and a good little package.
Correct.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All right. But the real thing we want to take away from is Invincible is incredible.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next point. I know that you've seen this because you posted about it on your Instagram story. IGN has given the Invincible Season 3 finale a 4 out of 10, saying, Invincible Season 3 peters out with a baffling finale centered on a villain we've never met and a hero's dilemma that's never actually addressed. Frick you?
Frick you, I think.
I've got a big takeaway from this. You ready? IGN is exactly who people on the internet act like we are.
No, I was about to ruin your day. I was like, that's you. It's not. But sometimes it feels like that. But no, I agree. No, that's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. And everybody on the internet is killing them for it. But again, we've said it a million times. We don't say anything on this podcast that isn't our actual opinion.
Correct.
But it comes to a point where it's bait.
Do you think IGN's rage baiting?
I do.
No, you can't accuse them of that. People accuse us of that all the time. Maybe that's his actual opinion.
Killing it that hard is crazy. I don't know.
No, I'm not going to accuse anyone of rage baiting when I don't have sufficient evidence to do so, because we get accused of that all the time.
Yeah.
But no, it just goes to show, like, almost everyone on the internet is like unanimously agreeing that season 3, episode 8 is one of the best episodes of TV show potentially ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And even still,
I'm getting killed that I prefer episode 7.
Yeah, and it's still a unbelievably reputable website.
Yeah.
Has a different opinion. And it's like that's what happens. There are opinions out there, and it doesn't mean they're a terrible person.
But we do staunchly disagree with them on this podcast.
No, that might make them a terrible person. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, get that out of here.
Like, just think about the Adam Eve scene. Think about the monologue. Think about the funeral.
Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. Like that means they actively think it's a bad episode. That's crazy.
Correct. And probably think it's a bad show.
They're nitpicking.
That doesn't feel like a nitpick. They're taking big shots.
Yeah, based on nitpicks.
We're going to get into some spoiler territory.
Yeah, sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start out with something from this final episode. How did you feel about Adam Eve going full Jean Grey?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as soon as it started happening, everyone was like, "Oh, it's the Phoenix." You know what I mean?
Of course.
I mean, it was great. Another example of me just being absolutely on the edge of my seat the whole time. As soon as she shows up, I love the shot where it just shows Mark realizing she's shown up, and he's like, "No, please, no." Andrew Garfield, Emma Stone, TASM 2 vibes. Just like, please don't be here.
Yep.
I'd rather die. I don't want to watch you die. And then he watches her die, basically.
Yep.
You're expecting that to happen because in the episode right before, she gets her leg snapped in half by a Mark that is less strong than our Mark, and our Mark is getting his butt handed to him by Conquest.
Yep.
Okay. I will say, thank you for letting her use her powers in at least a little bit of a creative way. The air density thing was very cool.
The air density thing is cool, but I do have a slight problem with it because why doesn't she always do that?
Thank you. That's more of a complaint about every other episode, not this episode. It's
correct.
Just, and the armor was cool or whatever. And yeah, you're just on your edge of the seat the whole time. So I loved her going full Jean Grey because that means she's alive.
Correct.
Anything to make sure she's alive.
And the scene and the funeral where she's crying about Rex and he's just smiling and she goes, "What the heck?" And he goes, "I'm just happy you're alive."
And
amazing.
Then they hug. Dude.
Amazing.
In my reaction, I literally had to pause it. I was like, can you, Invincible, chill the F out? You're
amazing.
Giving me the highest highs of Mark and Eve being adorable and the lowest lows of Rex's funeral and Mark's femur getting snapped in half.
Yep.
Like, you got to give me room to breathe.
Yep.
So I'm just glad she's alive.
In terms of the emotional beats, when Debbie has that scene with Mark in the hospital,
the whole time
I was crying.
The whole time I was like, Mark, say you love her. Mark, say you love her. Mark, just tell her you love her. I was like, that is not your fault. I was screaming at the screen, Debbie, that is not your fault. And then she was like, I love you. And Mark said, I love you too. And I was like, she deserves nothing less.
I'm getting emotional thinking about it.
She's the best.
She deserves the world, the universe, everything what this poor woman has had to deal with. And for her to be like, this is all my fault.
Bull crap.
For her to hear him be like, no.
I love you.
I'm getting chills right now.
Great scene. And in the same scene, she just like finally understood, like accepted the fact that Oliver was going to go. And she just sat him down and like gave him advice. That's tough.
That's awful.
Awful.
And then she has the moment with Paul. Paul's like, you've done this before.
Not like
You're
this.
a superhero. Not like this. She continues to be the best written character in the show.
Yeah.
Debbie. There's in a show with some of the best written characters I've ever seen in my life. Another major spoiler, but we got to get to it on a more positive note. How did you feel about Mark finally winning a fight?
Okay. It's obviously the whole thing is very reminiscent of the Omni-Man fight. It's the end of the season.
Yep.
It's a Viltrumite.
Yep.
He literally does the face to kill people thing.
Yep.
So we do get absolutely wrecked yet again by another Viltrumite.
Yeah.
It's Omni-Man.
Yep.
It was Anissa or whatever.
Yep.
Now it's him. They do let him win this one with the help of Eve, somewhat. She almost melts his skin.
Yep.
And then we just get angry. Here's the thing. Mark, get angry earlier.
You'd still save literally hundreds of thousands
of lives if you just you don't think you could have headbutt him maybe a little bit earlier. You have a broken femur and a bone coming out of your arm, and now you're able to defeat him because Eve zapped him a little bit, and you're angry. Get angry earlier, just. But I mean, the scene of him headbutting him to death is brutal. It's so invincible. And I loved it. So shout out Mark, finally. Yeah.
So now I want to get into stuff for the season.
No.
If that's okay. Oh, you want to keep talking about episode 8?
One more thing.
Okay, done. Yeah, go.
I have continuously been told when it comes to Invincible.
No, we're getting to this later.
Why not? It's in episode 8.
I don't care. This is the final thing we're doing for Invincible. Don't worry. Believe me. Okay. Don't worry. I'm excited. Right. Oh, real quick. Episode 8 establishes Oliver is nowhere near Mark in terms of strength. That was a conversation we had after, I think, episode 3 or something, that Oliver could be a problem going forward. Yeah. No, he gets, obviously destroyed.
He shows up for 5 seconds and he gets slapped into the ground.
One of the most brutal slaps, by the way, in cinema, in movie, TV show history.
And the pulling apart, that was the most uncomfortable I was the whole episode.
I thought that was a great scene.
I mean, yeah, but
Did you think he was going to die?
No, but I thought he might have been severely injured.
I thought he was going to die there.
That would have been crazy. No, I think we're going to have a ragtag team of like Oliver, Eve, Mark, Alan, Nolan, Cecil.
That would be sick.
And we're going to take on the Viltrumite army. It's going to be sick.
What do you think about this one? This may be a controversial take of mine. I don't care. Rudy taking Rex's name at the funeral is weird as hell and like should not be treated with fanfare. He's a clone of him and now has his name.
Oh, that's why he did it.
Weird.
Yeah. When he first did it, I was like, because he's obviously doing it to be nice. And he's like, at least that part of you will live on. My first reaction was weird.
Weird. It's just weird.
Maybe I don't understand the context. It makes a little bit more sense because he's the clone, and I think
I think it's like it makes it worse.
I think that makes it better.
No, I'm on the complete opposite side.
But even
of you.
still, but regardless, I still love the scene where he's like Monster Girl or whatever's like, why didn't you get up there?
You couldn't have gotten through it.
I don't know if I could get through it. Like that whole scene, I was like.
And I will say, I know that people have talked about this. This is my one complaint about the Rudy robot storyline in Invincible, because I think it's been done spectacularly, is, goodness gracious. That's my biggest complaint, is that he's out of the suit a lot more, because Zachary Quinto's robot voice is, mwah. I mean, every time he says any line, it's perfect. I think he gives the best voice performance in the whole show. Is Zachary Quinto as robot. Every time he talks, that scene in, what was it, episode 2, where he goes, frequency blocked. And then Mark, like that, I need more Zachary Quinto robot voice. Need it bad. And then, okay, so that's it. Let's talk about some season stuff, and then we'll get back to what we've been dying to talk about. You're not a suit guy, but I'm dying to talk about it. Blue and black suit or blue and yellow suit? Which one do you prefer for Mark?
I don't think either of them are spectacular.
Wow.
I don't think either of them are like crazy spectacular. I think they're both fine. I do think the yellow is probably a little better.
Yeah. The yellow is just iconic. It's just so good. And I like the blue and black for what it represents, but overall, every time he's wearing it, I'm just like, I wish he was wearing the blue and yellow. It's just so...
I think it would be better, yeah.
I think it would be better. But I understand it's like, oh, this is his, like, he's going to kill people in this suit, so we got to make it a little bit darker. And then, in terms of the seasons of the show...
Yeah.
You and I believe, both give season 1 of Invincible a 10 out of 10.
Sure.
I think you gave season 2 an 8 or an 8.5. I gave it an 8. And I just gave season 3 a 10, and you just gave season 3 a 9.5. What superhero show competes with this? I've got some numbers here. For me personally, Daredevil has to be in the conversation. I've got Daredevil season 1 at a 10 out of 10. Season 2, big dip all the way down to a 6 out of 10. But then season 3, 10 out of 10. One of the best seasons of television I've ever seen. Batman the Animated Series is incredible all the way through, but I don't know if it ever reaches the highs of Invincible.
No.
I think I'm ready to say this is the greatest superhero television show of all time.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't seen The Boys.
Correct.
But
you prefer Invincible to the boys.
For a while, I had them on the same level. Now I think I have to give it to Invincible.
Yeah.
It's live action. You can't compare the two. Shut the frick up. Yes, we can. No, Invincible is great. Penguin is only one season, but
only one season. It's fabulous, yes.
But yeah, I can't think of any superhero specific show that I like or I think is better than Invincible.
It's a special show. And no matter what we say in this next topic, I want you to know that I've enjoyed every second of covering this show with you on this podcast.
Okay.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
We're talking about Cecil.
Oh, yeah. So,
I'll let you lead here.
Both on the podcast and in my reactions, everyone has continuously told me to hop off of Cecil's
wiener.
Correct. And my reaction to that has the majority of the time been no.
Yeah.
I'll stay right here. Thank you. And it's been interesting because people continuously tell me, oh, that will change. Oh, that will change.
Yes.
And I knew something was going to happen in this episode.
Yes.
So in episode 8 of Invincible, season 3, spoiler, obviously, Cecil and Conquest.
Yes.
He makes the decision.
Yes.
Mark comes in and says he's dead. He checks. He says, burn the body. And as soon as Mark leaves and Cecil hasn't done that already, I was like, Mark, you need to watch him do that. I knew, something was going to happen. So he is trying to revive Conquest because he wants to get information out of him. Is this good or bad?
This episode, I have, throughout the show, throughout 3 seasons, have been completely on your side. That Cecil is doing everything he should be doing, that he's right the whole time, etc., etc. This episode, I've never seen it before, completely flipped me. I think Cecil is entirely on the wrong in both decisions he makes in this episode. Keeping Conquest alive is a disastrous decision.
What's the other one?
It's a debate we've had previously, which is whether or not keeping D.A. Sinclair and having him make the Reanimate Men is ethical. And I've always been on your side of, we need somebody to fight these guys. And they saved the day against the Invincible that went to the Pentagon. They killed that Mark.
Also saved Eve. Also helped save us against...
Correct. And you had a very good argument when we were talking about it a couple weeks ago, where you said, yes, against Earthquake Man, Doc Seisbeck. You had a very good argument a couple weeks ago where you were like, it's not like he's just walking around, has a regular life. This episode establishes he does. Because he says to the girl, he's like, oh, we can't do our dinner tonight. We're going to have to work. And she was like, I assume so. So he does have a life. That's problematic.
They show movies in prison. Come on. I'm grasping at straws here, but yeah, yes. obviously, if D.A. Sinclair is walking around being able to go to the local AMC, I have a problem with that.
That's a problem.
For sure. I'm not ready to make that entire judgment based on that one throwaway line, but I do not like that line was in there. I agree. Okay, so the other bigger one is...
Keeping Conquest alive. Legitimately, maybe this is my bias because I know about Alan and I know about Omni-Man and I know about Thetis, played expertly by Peter Cullen. This is just a disastrous decision. There's nothing positive that's going to come from this.
But you don't know for sure. Or are you spoiling things?
I'm not spoiling things for you, but
okay, so here
I can't justify in my head doing this.
Okay. Oh, I can justify it.
You turn him into a reanimate 100% of the time. You kill this guy and turn him into a reanimate.
Okay, listen to me. As far as Cecil's decision in this episode, do I agree completely? No. And this is the first time in which I will say Cecil probably 100. I'm not going to say 100%, but I do not agree with the decision that Cecil made. Because I think for the first time, largely his ego and him thinking his own ability is larger than it is has trumped probably the wise decision. He believes that he can control Conquest. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
Now, the way that this will determine to me whether it's a bad decision or not in the long run is what Conquest ends up doing.
Correct.
From here on out, if Conquest gets out and kills anybody, that's going to be on Cecil.
100%.
And assuming that because we're 6 miles down and you have some titanium or whatever, that you can control this guy, I'm not going to give that to you, Cecil. That's a bad decision. This guy is dangerous enough to kill him. Now, the justification for it is unbelievably good, in my opinion. We have never had a Viltrumite that we have defeated and can possibly get information out of. Now, obviously, you're probably not going to get information out of Conquest, but the potential to learn about the Viltrum Empire that we have zero information about, what's coming, maybe get some DNA and information from his body. There are 5,000 things that this one person could lead to that could save billions of lives. But that all hinges on the fact of whether or not you're able to control him. If you are, I think it's a good decision. If you aren't, everything that's bad that happens after that is on you.
You ready? If you want information out of him, why don't you turn him into a nugget?
I think that's basically what he's trying to do.
But he's not. I assume he's got his arms and legs out under there otherwise it would have been stated if they did cut those off. Like, there are other ways to get information out of him if this is your goal. You say specifically in this episode that this guy's stronger than Nolan. Well, you spent $500 bajillion on the satellite thing, the world's most expensive nosebleed. What makes you think that you have anything to stop this guy when you said he's stronger than Nolan?
But that's what I'm saying. We will have to see, because normal Cecil doesn't do this unless he believes he has a good way of doing it. But in this particular case, I think that's hubris. I think he's being a little too egotistical. But the fact that he's basically dead. Like, Mark came in and looked at him and he was basically dead. So that's very different than a fully charged Omni-Man flying through the sky, hitting him with a thing. So if we're using every sedative on the entire planet while also electrocuting him, and we've cut his arms off, and we're just making him conscious enough to, like, talk to us for a second, then maybe it's a good idea. But overall, no, I think this is a bad idea, because I think believing you can control Conquest is a bad idea.
Agreed.
But I think time will tell. But Cecil's still in my top 3 favorite characters of the show.
He really upset me this episode. The D.A. Sinclair thing, that I was like, oh no.
Yeah. He literally experimented and tortured
college
people.
Students. Killed them.
Yeah, no, he shouldn't be going to an AMC. No, I totally agree.
Like, lock him away.
They have movie nights at the state penitentiary. They do. I'm just saying.
Lock him away and throw away the key. Like, that's that kind of guy. I've understood him working for you, but not now. I don't like this. Otherwise, I think he's done everything right, though.
Yeah. But here's another thing. Here's another point about Cecil. Everyone kept telling me, oh, wait, right? So, like, I liked him in season 1 and 2, and I was like, oh, Cecil's great. And, like, it was a surprise to me that people didn't like him. I was like, what do you mean? This guy is freaking awesome. And
people have explained that they have made him nicer in the show.
Yes, they've made him nicer. They've made him cooler, like, whatever. So, but people who have only seen the show were still like, I don't like this guy. I was like, you're freaking wrong. And people who have no more kept saying, oh, just wait, he gets worse. Okay. So they said that in season 1. They said that in season 2. Then they said that in season 3 with the fight against Mark. They were like, oh, wait until next episode. And every single season, in season 1, and then in season 2, and then in season 3 with the episode with Mark, and then the next episode, and the next episode, every single time someone says, oh, you're gonna hate Cecil, and I get to that point, I still don't hate Cecil, right? And now their next biggest one was this episode. I still don't hate Cecil.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you're just the world's biggest Cecil Glazer?
I'll gladly take that title. The way people were describing it, and again, maybe this happens eventually, but the way people were describing it was like Omni-Man level bad decision of Omni-Man's kill count is 6.2 billion. Cecil is not Omni-Man. People are like softer on Nolan now because he had a bug child and had the slightest bit of regret.
Which, by the way, I agree with this take completely. Continue.
Like, you still shouldn't have...
Correct. No, I have no sympathy for that.
You should have no sympathy for this guy.
Yep.
So because people kept banking on telling me, oh, wait until the season finale, I just kept assuming that it would be something worse than trying to get information out of a Viltrumite. As far as decisions go, I think this is a bad one, but it's still not at the level at which I think people were describing it to me. Like, oh, you're going to completely flip on Cecil. I can say Cecil has made one bad decision, but still have him as one of my favorite characters. Does that make sense?
It does. But we can assume
That something bad is going to happen with that. Yeah, no, and I will...
And you will say that that'll be on Cecil.
Probably. I mean, yes, it is. But, how will he get out? I want to know that. Is it Cecil's fault? It's Cecil's fault for having him alive, period. But is it going to be someone else's fault for allowing him to get out? Does that make sense? Because then it will also be their fault. But it will still also be Cecil's fault. Anyways, yeah, just because I've continually been told that Cecil, you're going to hate Cecil eventually. And, every single time I'm like, I either still agree with him or even if I disagree with him, I don't hate him yet. Every single time I'm like, maybe eventually I will. And every time it happens, I'm like...
All right.
And I again, bad decision. I do not agree with it. I think he's too full of himself in this one. 100%.
All right. Shall we move on to Daredevil, or is there something else you'd like to say?
My top 3 characters have changed.
Give them to me.
Top 3 characters in Invincible. I'll put Debbie at 1.
W.
I believe she's earned that after the last episode.
I
think
agree.
Debbie and Cecil have swapped spots.
Okay.
Cecil has made a bad decision. Cecil's still my number 2.
Cool.
Sorry, guys. I don't agree with this decision, but if I agree with 99% of someone's decisions and he saved the world multiple times and I've yet to see the bad consequences of the one bad decision, he's still going to be my number 2.
I know who your number 3 is going to be.
You know it.
I do.
You want to say it together?
No, you can say it.
Yeah, it's Eve.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Yeah, dude.
She's just the best.
She's the best. She's the best. And I've never been low on Eve. I've never been high on Eve. I thought she's fine. She's cool. Her powers are cool. She's been a good friend or whatever. But I've never been even on the Mark Eve ship train that hard in the first 2 seasons. I didn't really care. I just didn't want him to be with Amber in the first season. That's all I cared about. Now I'm fully on the Mark Eve ship train. Eve is top 3 characters. She's gorgeous. She's amazing. She's talented. She's such a mature, wonderful girlfriend and partner to Mark.
Which is unbelievable based on her family life.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And we had this conversation off camera. Who has been a better superhero counterpart or partner
than Adam Eve?
There
is none.
There is none.
There is none. If you were a superhero and you did a draft and your superhero spouse, Adam Eve is the first overall pick
by a country mile.
My man. I couldn't agree more. It's just, who's even second place?
Yeah, we went through some of the Spider-Mans. Mary Jane in the comics is a little better than the Mary Jane in the movies, obviously. And Gwen is great, but, her back breaks. And then, Lois Lane, maybe? She's good in some iterations, but, still.
But Lois is more of a damsel, right? Adam Eve can defend herself. And Adam Eve understands the job more than Lois does.
So here's a scary thought about the Mark and Eve relationship.
Yes.
Because
this is such a W opinion of yours.
We haven't read the comics, and we know that we're almost halfway through.
Correct.
So we have 3-4 more seasons, hopefully.
I would say 3 seasons, yeah.
What adult or superhero show that goes on this long, or movies or comic run ever, has a couple be together that long?
For 4 seasons.
They have gotten together too early for me to think that they are in game. Or maybe they are in game, but I don't think they're going to stay together for the next 3 seasons straight. They got to break up. There's got to be, they come, and then they come back together. Maybe people are going to die. I don't know. But the fact that they are so good so early, there's no way the writers aren't going to write some tragic trauma in there and it's going to F with me. I want them to be together always.
Did you think she was going to die in that episode?
I mean, when it first happened, I was like, no, the whole time I was just like, give her to Cecil. Where's Cecil? Get her to Cecil.
We were screaming.
Cecil.
I was screaming. I was like, Cecil, get her out of there right now.
It's also crazy that as soon as Mark is ever in any sort of danger and needs help, he calls for Cecil. But that's why I'm worried, because they're so great and I ship them so unbelievably hard. I love them to death. I love Mark. I love Eve. I love them together. But the fact that we're only in season 3 means
worries the heck out of you.
I mean, it would blow my mind if they stay together and are happy
and
nothing
die.
Happens until the end of either they break up or they get separated and go to different planets for a decade or something tragic, or one of them dies or something. I find it hard to believe at the end of that's not going to happen at some point.
I think that's what the tease is with the close. I think she probably is dying.
Yeah.
right? With the goo.
Yeah, that's scary. Some sort of she overexerted herself and now
Correct.
Or maybe she won't be able to use her powers.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like All Might in My Hero Academia. He can only use his powers ever so often because it's hurting him, and then he has to use it like one final time, and then he's done. I don't know.
You just said your 3 favorite characters for Invincible. My 3 favorite that I had previously was Mark, Debbie, and Rex. Believe it or not, in death, Rex has moved up in my list. I'd like to tell you why. This guy is the GOAT of the verse. You ready for this resume? Dated Adam Eve.
Yep.
Dated
Had her crying profusely at his funeral.
after he cheated on her countless times.
Crazy work.
Dated Duplicate.
Unbelievable.
Dated Shrinking Ray. Survived being shot in the head.
Shot in the head.
After being shot in the head, or during or whatever, 1v3's the Lizard League, who just killed Shrinking Ray and Duplicate and a bunch of other Guardians. Was an excellent wingman in helping Mark date Eve.
Also a wingman for Rudy and Monster Girl, right?
Absolutely. I was going to get to that. Basically helped Rudy get Monster Girl. Sacrificed himself to kill a Mark to save his friends.
In the most bomb way possible.
In a baller way.
Baller.
And on top of that, he's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
That's the GOAT.
He's got to have like a gigantic penis.
That's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT.
That is the GOAT. So Rex, I'm going to go.
You can't put Rex 1 though.
No, and you know what? I don't think I could even put him at 2. I can't move him up.
So he can't move him up.
No, he's staying at 3 though.
So it's Mark, Debbie, Rex still.
It's Mark, Debbie, Rex still.
Mark's too high, man. I love.
No, Mark is the GOAT.
He does headbutt a man to death.
Mark is my GOAT. I love Mark.
Why?
Because he's the best. I love that guy. I love him so much. He's invincible, man.
But he's not. He's so not invincible.
It's not about his like body. It's about his like will.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He's a good guy. He's a real good
He's
guy.
a great guy, but he's killed so many people on accident. How many people do you think he's killed on accident? Like where you can specifically say he is directly responsible for that death? Literally millions of people.
Millions? No.
The Invincible War killed over 1 million people.
Yeah, but you're putting that on him?
I'm putting that on him because Engstrom doesn't release those Invincibles not to hurt him.
Sure.
The Omni-Man fight, however many that killed, and then this Conquest fight, however many that killed. Those are 3 like...
I was thinking like specifically like his fights where he's fighting, not just in general the marks going around the world.
No, I'm counting the marks. How you smelling lately? Do you smell good, Andrew?
Excellent. I smell excellent. Ask me why.
Why do you smell excellent,
Mando!
Andrew? Mando! We got that Mando pack.
Yeah, so this is the starter pack. It's a whole body deodorant. Safe to use anywhere on your body. I'm going to give you some examples of where you can use it. You ready? Nope. Well, no, I don't know if the brand would enjoy us demonstrating their product like that.
Okay.
So maybe point it somewhere else. Here, you point at where I say.
Okay.
Pits, balls, thigh folds.
What?
That's literally on the ad read. That's not your thigh. At least point it at your thigh. Belly buttons. Does your belly button smell? I don't want to know. Butt cracks. Nice. And feet. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream 2 deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for you guys, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code ESCAPE at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. It supports our show by, if you click it and use the thing, that's, that'll
does help us out, and it helps you out because you'll smell better because you've
That smells really good.
reached out to Mando. Absolutely.
I can smell it over here.
Daredevil Born Again, episode 3 just released. Whenever this comes out, the next episode will be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're excited about that. We'll probably talk about that on the podcast. We'll probably talk about every single episode as they come out on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll see.
Can you give a score for episode 3 out of 10? Because I'm very interested to see what you think about this episode.
Yeah, like an 8.5.
I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah.
Really impressed me.
Yeah, I thought you might like this one.
The lawyer stuff is just fabulous.
It's so good. I guess we'll talk about that in spoilers.
Yeah.
There's not much to talk about that's not spoilers.
You're right. So you want to just hop into spoilers?
Yeah, okay,
Spoiler alert for Daredevil Born Again episode 3.
Yeah, I hate the guy. Hate that guy. Hate him. You know what I'm talking about.
The informant.
Yep. Hate him.
Nikki Torres.
I was so mad.
So mad.
I was livid.
So mad. I felt so bad.
You little weasel.
The worst. He saved your life.
Matt was about to cook.
He saved your life.
His life has been saved twice by the people in that room. And he can't even just say, yeah, I was there. Frick you. Frick you. Have some balls. We even got you cocaine. We got you cocaine to make you happy and make you calm on the stand.
And you're the worst.
And you're going to lie? You're going to perjure yourself? Frick you.
Hate it.
Hate it.
So speaking of the perjury, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is, how in the world did Matt win that case?
Yeah.
No way.
He shouldn't have won the case.
No way.
Yeah, no.
I appreciate what he does, etc., but like...
I mean, the best thing he did was the testimonials from the people who have been saved by White Tiger, specifically the ones from the cops.
Absolutely.
Was such a baller move. But
Absolutely.
I don't think that was enough to win.
But that's not enough to win that case.
No. We got lucky. Sometimes you get lucky.
Sure. And it was just a particularly emotional jury. Speaking of emotional juries and decisions that won Matt the case, though, Hector's death is on Matt 100%. 100,000%.
No. Yes and no.
How? How is it no?
Okay, so he had two options. Either he does that and he gets him out of jail, or the guy goes to jail for the rest of his life, basically. Okay,
sure.
So it's not like he just like posted his information online for no reason. He had to do one thing and he did it, and he got him out of jail. So it worked. So it was worth it. Okay.
He didn't ask him.
Yeah, he should have asked him. Mm-hmm. He should have asked him 100%. But it was still a sick move to be like in the court with the mask. Pretty freaking sick. And then the judge was like, "Are you serious?"
The
judge being like, "You lectured me."
I loved the judge.
Yeah. The judge was like totally right. Like, yeah. The first, okay, it's on Fisk.
You think Fisk is responsible?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
What?
Okay.
I didn't even think that was a possibility that he wasn't.
Sure.
I also don't think it's Frank, by the way, but
obviously not.
Okay. The dude immediately put the costume back on and went back out.
Correct.
Matt told him, you are done with this. You have to be done with this. It's not like the guy came into his house and shot him. He was white tigering and got shot.
You're right. You're right.
So it's slightly on Fisk. It's slightly on him for going out. And yeah, slightly on Matt. But Matt at least had a reason. And the reason was trying to get this guy from going to jail for the rest of his life.
I'm interested to see what they do with this Punisher storyline.
Mm-hmm. I'm interested in all the storylines.
Good on Marvel. Marvel's got some balls to tackle that.
They've got some balls.
They are going to upset a lot of people by doing that. I'm not saying me, right? But like...
That's a first.
I hate you. But I'm just saying, like, good on you, Marvel, for having the balls to do that. I disagreed with you having the balls to kill Foggy, but that took balls. This takes bigger balls, in my opinion. This Punisher police brutality storyline is fascinating that they're tackling this. And then, the credits, brutal.
That might be enough of a reason for me to bump it from an 8.5 to a 9. Just the decision to that opening monologue he gives about the frogs and his culture and the beach and everything. And then at the end, just playing it.
Yep. Brutal.
I had people telling me that they just sat and listened to the credits for like 10 minutes.
Of course.
Just kept running it back. Like
we all did.
Crying. No, they aren't pulling their punches. I think they're telling the story so well. And the fact that they're not pulling their punches makes me so interested to see what they're going to continue to do. I mean, we're only 3 episodes in. We still have 6. And I feel like there's so much is going to happen in that 6 episodes.
I agree.
Yeah, but the fact that they let Matt lawyer for like a whole episode.
And it was great.
Oh, and the switcheroo with Cherry when they're opening the van in the back.
Awesome. Loved that.
Love Cherry. And then the moment when Matt pulls out the mask and the lawyer lady turns to Cherry and Cherry's just like...
Loved it.
I love him. He's my favorite.
So for me, I gave episode 1, I would say I'd give episode 1 like a 5 out of 10, episode 2 a 7 out of 10, episode 3 a 9 out of 10. The show is going in a path that I am enjoying, obviously, a lot. Obviously, you know my complaints. You know I feel it's a distinctly different show. But it's okay if it's a good show. And I do think it's going to be a good show. So I do want to say...
I think it's going to be a great show.
I do want to say that. And then the final thing I want to say, and I'm really interested to hear your perspective on this, because obviously I feel like they've done a lot really differently in this show. Mm-hmm. I don't like Fisk's assistant dude, the British guy.
Why?
I just think he's nothing and not interesting. And this is what I was going to say to you. He's not interesting in this show. I don't think the lawyers from season 3 are particularly that interesting. There's the weasel-looking one that goes into the house with Nadeem where he grabs the paper bag. That's an awesome moment, but I don't think he's that good either. What I'm trying to say to you is, let's just bring back Wesley. I don't think people will care that much if you bring him back from the dead. I really don't. Like, it's a great scene in season 1, but in my opinion, this show is different enough. Just recast. Just bring back Wesley. I don't care how you explain it. He is so spectacular in season 1. He's such a likable assistant to Fisk. In my experience in reading Daredevil comics, James Wesley is a big deal character that doesn't just get killed off on a whim. Not saying they killed him off on a whim. That scene in season 1 is spectacular, but just bring him back. This is the MCU. To me and to a lot of people, this does feel like a different show. Just bring him back because he's so spectacular. What do you say to that?
One, if they brought a character back from the dead without explanation, then that might actually be grounds for calling it a different show. But they're not going to do that. Unless they do, and then egg on my face. And then number 2, you know how people are telling me to get off of Cecil's wiener? Maybe you should get off of Wesley's.
Totally. I'll give you this every day of the week. I didn't. We went to the Daredevil Born Again premiere. I didn't go up to Charlie Cox. I didn't go up to Vincent D'Onofrio. I didn't go up to Deborah Ann Wool. I didn't go up to any of these guys. I didn't go up to Wilson Bethel. I went up to Wesley. I was like, I cried when they killed you. I love you. You're the GOAT. I was like, you are the man.
He's at the premiere. Maybe they'll bring him back. Maybe they will. Maybe some Thanos snap blip.
Yes.
Something. I don't know.
Dude, I don't care how you explain it. He's so... Like, when that guy was walking off and he was like, I work for the man. I was like, Wesley is so much better at this.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think it bothers you because you like Wesley so much.
Of course. But, like, that's what I'm saying.
We've only seen, like, 3 scenes with this guy, really. We're
Sure.
3 episodes in. I'm not judging the side assistant character to Fisk that much.
Petition to bring back Wesley. That's where I'm at.
I will sign the petition to not do that. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I love you, though.
Clearly not enough. You've just broken my heart.
I'm so sorry.
I hope that Cecil ruins everything next season. USOB.
All right. We need like 5-10 more minutes, so we're just going to answer just like a handful of questions submitted by patrons. If you want to submit a question, go...
Message us on Patreon.
Yeah. What's the first thing y'all do if you were home alone in the house?
Whack it.
Something involving your mother. I'm not clinking you for that. That's terrible.
Favorite kind of cheese?
Ooh.
American. Parmesan.
Mozzarella? I like mozzarella in my pasta, but I also make...
What's with the Spanish accent?
Mozzarella? That's not how you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it?
It's Italian, so it's mozzarella.
Mozzarella? I like cheddar jack.
Cheddar jack?
Yeah.
I know pepper jack.
Colby jack.
I don't know.
Colby jack.
I know Colby jack.
Sorry,
I was like, what is cheddar jack?
I don't know. I'm fusing cheeses together.
Clearly.
After the movies come out, who do you think your favorite actor will be in their role in Fantastic Four First Steps?
W question. Who's your answer? Pedro Pascal.
I love Pedro, so maybe him.
Oh. Ebon Moss-Bacharach as the Thing.
That's a crazy name.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
No, just from that one clip from the trailer, I'm picking him.
Yeah. When will the GOAT Danny Mata make his return?
Oh, dude, I'd love to have Danny back. I just provided my voice for a diss track on him.
W.
And I also got into it with him on TikTok. We had some beef. It was great.
The beef was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
Hilarious.
And He has told me, I'm not kidding, that he listens to our podcast while like working out or running on the treadmill, and he just takes notes on things he wants to yell at us for. Okay. And there are some things that I would yell at him for. So I love Danny. He's an inspiration. Come back on.
So we got to have him on again, and then it's just the Danny Mata confrontation episode where he's got notes. We don't plan any segments or anything. Nope. We just let him say things, and he starts the segments essentially.
Sure.
Would you rather spend a day with the Rams football team or the Miami Heat basketball team? This includes tours of everything. Very easy for me because the Miami Heat have very much upset me recently. And while the Rams broke my heart by releasing Cooper Kupp, I still like quite a bit of that team. And I am a bigger Rams fan than I am a Heat fan. So that's pretty easy for me.
Speaking of sports, top 3 NBA players all time.
LeBron is our glorious king. This is LeBron house. Andrew likes to say that we're not, but he's the only person that doesn't consider LeBron the GOAT in this house. I would go Michael Jordan at 2. And but you know, a killer mentality can only get you so far, you know. Never won a playoff game or playoff series without Scottie Pippen or Phil Jackson. And give me Kareem at 3.
You did 2 in a row, so I'll do 2 in a row. Is that okay?
Of course.
If you could relive the past 5 years of your life with the knowledge you have now, would you?
No.
That's tough.
So I'm going to tell you why. You ready? Mm-hmm. This wouldn't exist. And I like this so much.
But it might.
I would really have to pull off a miracle. And
why?
Think about it.
Just do what you already did.
Do what I already did. Convince you on accident. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm pressing you, let's do a podcast together, you might not do it, right? And then I have to do the podcast with you organically again after knowing all of your opinions.
Oh, that is a good point. I just want to go back and like tell myself like, yeah, it's okay, don't date her.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I understand that. I do. I don't have that. Oh, and then I have to...
I could also maybe save myself from some injuries. Have I injured myself in the last 5 years? No. I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think... I just love my life so much right now. I don't...
One more each.
Okay. You haven't finished My Hero Academia, have you?
No.
That's the question.
Have I finished?
Did you ever finish My Hero Academia?
No, I'm still watching through it. I am on season 3 or 4. They are trying to get their provisional hero license. That's what they're at in that.
There's some Sokovia Accords in that.
The heroes like work for agencies. Like it's a structured thing. And they have rankings and stuff. So they're doing that competition where you have to like have the sensors on you and you press them with the balls or whatever. So that's where I am. Rate y'all's coolness 1 through 10. Not very.
On paper, we are some of the least cool people in the world.
But no, on paper, sometimes we kind of are.
We do very cool things.
Right. Going to world premieres.
Very cool.
Being a content creator full time, that might have not been cool a while ago, but now literally everyone in the world thinks this is the best job in the world.
And it is.
You have a lot of money. That's cool on paper.
I do have money. I do have a girlfriend who is better looking than me. So that's cool. Another thing that makes me cool.
Do you think anyone in the world would say that you're better looking than her?
Some women.
What percentage of the world?
Low. Less than 2% for sure. Okay. But that's still like 80 million people.
Doesn't that make you feel good?
150 million people, yeah.
Think that you're more attractive than Rachel.
Yeah.
Okay. And 7.4 billion people believe that Rachel is more attractive than you.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is fair.
Fair.
Another thing that makes us cool is, like, I think we're good people that are nice, and I think that's very cool. I'm going to tell a story. I wasn't going to tell this on the podcast, and I said this to every single one of our roommates, and I said, do not repeat this to Andrew. Not because I wanted to say this on the podcast, but just because I didn't want to feed your ego. But I feel
scared.
This is a good time for them. The other day we were at a Target.
Oh.
And these kids come up to Andrew, and there was like a limit on how many Pokemon cards you could buy for a certain pack or something. And they were like, can we pay you to buy the Pokemon cards for us because we're making videos. And you said, oh, you guys are content creators. You guys are you're making videos out of it. And they were like, yes. And you bought them the cards and you didn't ask for the money or anything. And you said it afterwards. You were like, new generation. I'm encouraging the new generation. And I thought, legitimately, that is the coolest thing you've ever done in your life. Since you and I have been friends, that is like the most respect I've ever had for you, ever in that moment. And I said that to every single one of them, and I was like, "Don't you tell Andrew." I was like, that is you were in line for a long time at that Target, and so me and Zach and Rachel were sitting in the car. I was like, "That's the coolest thing he's ever done." It was like I was like, I've never had more respect for him in my life. I just thought the world of you in that much. Pay it forward. And he looked you up on social media and he was like, oh my God, so many followers.
Like because I kind of wanted to reward the balls that the kid had because he walked up to me as a stranger. He did not recognize me. He was just like, hey, we're trying to get more of these things. And I was like, oh, what card are you looking for? He's like, oh, we're looking for all the EV evolutions or whatever. And I was like, so like you're all just doing this for fun because you're collectors or like you make content? He's like, oh, my buddy's got a channel, like he's gonna film stuff about it. And I was like, yeah, no. Because again, everyone knows this. I know what it was like for 7 years to feel absolutely awful about everything. So it was nice.
And you were like, keep going.
Yeah.
You get like, that's so cool. That's the coolest thing you've ever done.
So you're saying, you're saying my coolness went up after that?
Yes. Like, and
I appreciate that. That's really sweet. Thank you.
As we just said, like being a good person is cool. But like you just said, like you've been there, you were there, and to pay it forward the way you did. And he looked up your TikTok or something. Oh my gosh, you're so successful. It's like, that's going to motivate them so much. Like you don't understand, like you do because you did it. But like the impact you're going to have on those kids.
Well, we have that impact on a lot of people. You too.
Yeah, but I don't know, like just seeing it in practice like that, you practice what you preach. I respect the hell out of you already, and you know that. But
thank you.
That was such a cool moment for me. I was like, wow, I'm partners with like the best guy in the world. Like that was so cool.
It was a very random thing that happened, and I'm glad we all went to Target because we all got a lot of good stuff that we needed. So it was a fun little trip. It was like you, me, Rachel, Zach, gallivanting off to Target.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, I reduce my coolness in a lot of ways, too.
Of course.
I wear a Spider-Man hoodie.
You're a virgin.
Yeah, that doesn't make me cool at all, huh?
No. And
saying frick is not cool.
There you go. I was about to say it. It's just, we get comments about it all the time where they're like, can't take you seriously. You say frick you.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
It's tough.
So where do I balance out to? Am I like a 6?
I'll give you a 6. You know what's helped you tremendously?
Hair.
Your hair has made you 10 times cooler.
I think our jobs alone give us a cool factor of 7.
But you don't think we bring ourselves down by saying things
I think our basement, our bottom level that we could possibly
7?
go is 7 now.
Whoa.
You know how many people, like, you're just like, oh, I'm a content creator, and everyone immediately, like, perks up because, like, everyone wants to do that. Like, we make enough money. It is so cool that we make enough money, me doing trivia and reacting to things and us talking about Spider-Man to literally have a solid amount of money, like live.
We could live.
We're not even just living now.
No, you're right. And that's all thanks to you guys, by the way. Like, the love
that is baseline level 7 cool. I'll give, and we could go higher, but I think we bring ourselves down by being nerds and me specifically.
Kind of weirdos. Well, no, not you specifically.
No,
I'm a weird guy too.
I think I have more things that give me negative cool points than you do.
But I've got some ones that are worse than anything that you've got. For example, my shooting ability on a basketball court.
That is pretty bad.
That's so bad. By the way, we had this discussion the other day, and I felt it was a little unfair. You were talking about how bad I am at basketball, which is fair because I'm a terrible shooter. I want to say, just because I'm a terrible shooter, does that make me the worst person in the world at basketball? I want to say that. Do you know what conversation I'm referencing?
Yes.
I want to say, like, I'm tall, and yes, I get gassed quickly, but if I'm not gassed, I can play okay defense, and I can make a layup, I can make a shot. Like, my shooting form is awful, but if I'm close enough to the basketball, I can get it over a lot of people.
Sometimes you find your range.
And sometimes I have days where I'm an okay shooter.
Yeah.
Like, I do want to say that is we have these awesome games that I would love to record for a Patreon or something, where it's a pickup game of like a bunch of creators, Chris and Soups and Angel, and a bunch of us play. We went to a court in July last year. So much fun. I don't think I'm ever the worst player on the court in those games.
Who is?
I don't think it's me.
But who is?
I'm not going to name names because that would be mean, but I can name 3 guys off the top of my head that were worse than me.
Really?
Yes.
Connor?
Yeah, I mean, Connor does nothing. I don't feel bad about saying Connor because Connor does nothing. Connor didn't even go to that one because he doesn't like doing this. Okay,
that's fair.
Yes, I'm the worst. You can say I'm the worst shooter on the court.
You're taller for sure. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Like, so that's.
So are we giving both of ourselves a 7? I think that's fair.
I'm happy giving you an 8.
No.
The hair has improved you so much. We get 2 comments a day saying that, oh, I thought this was Andrew Garfield, which is so cool because he's so cool.
The look-alike comparisons to Andrew Garfield I get literally daily. That's pretty cool.
Which is the coolest thing ever because he's so hot and he's Spider-Man, arguably the best Spider-Man.
I think we got a patron. Yeah, we got a patron message the other day that was like, I sent your reaction to my girlfriend, and the only thing she responded was, "Is this Andrew Garfield?"
W.
No, I'm going to take a 7. You let us know in the comments what each of our rankings are in terms of coolness.
People are going to say so many mean things.
We both have a lot of negatives, but we both have a lot of positives.
Sure.